3, 2, 1. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Thank you so much for being here today, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. It's the 27th of August of 2024. And right now, as of today, there is a pause that has been ordered from the Eastern District of Texas, pausing an administrative stay, we call it, a pause, on this new Parole in Place program, the Keeping Families Together program. Frustrating situation, and how does it affect your case? How does it affect your situation? Well, let's talk that through today. All right, so first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right, so today our theme is, how does this 14-day pause affect your case? And of course, that depends on what your case is and whether it's been submitted, whether or not you're thinking of submitting it, etc., whether or not you're working on it, etc. So we can talk all those things through. My question, as always, is, hey, do you want to get a green card this year? Do you want to apply for citizenship this year, or asylum, or some kind of visa, or some kind of immigration status, work authorization, etc.? Like, is this year your year? Because if so, go for it, right? If you want to see at least what your options are, at least what possible strategy you have to improve your life through an immigration process, it's like, man, I really encourage you to go for that. And I'd love to help you with that, if that makes sense for you. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years. We would love for your case to be one of them. Okay? And so let's talk about this Parole in Place, right? The Keeping Families Together Parole in Place program. The regulations finally came out. It was announced in June. Regulations came out on Monday of last week, so 1 week and 1 day ago, all right? And my office and several offices throughout the country filed multiple of these applications all week last week, all right? And then right now, as of today, there's an order from the district court judge in the Eastern District of Texas putting the pause on this because the lawsuit was filed on Friday, all right? Lawsuit was filed on Friday. We all kind of expected it, all right? It's like, okay, two steps forward, one step back, right? There's a pro-immigration initiative, and then anti-immigrant people do the backlash, file the lawsuit, file a complaint, get upset, do something, try something, and now there's a judge who has reviewed that and has said, hey, you know something? We don't know whether we're going to approve or deny this program, but for now, we find that we should pause the program while we're reviewing the legalities of it. So that's what this is. Remember what the requirements were for this program. All right. There are 5 requirements, and I've gone through those. If you have questions about those or you want to go through that in more depth, feel free to see any of my past videos on this topic. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Not supposed to sneeze on a live video, but I feel one coming on. Isn't that funny? Anyway, maybe it'll pass. The Parole in Place eligibility criteria, there are 5. They are, as of June 17th of 2024, you have to have been married to a U.S. citizen. You have to have 10 years of continuous physical presence, not 9, not 8. Yesterday, my office was meeting with a gentleman who entered the U.S. in July of 2014, all right? Well, unfortunately, if he entered in July of 2014 and he's married to a U.S. citizen, he does not have 10 years of continuous physical presence before June 17th of 2024. Instead, he has 9 years and 11 months of continuous physical presence. So unfortunately, he's not eligible for this program, all right? Requirement number 2 is you have to have 10 years as of June 17th of 2024 of physical presence in the U.S. Requirement number 3 is you cannot have been inspected and admitted or paroled in the past. Requirement number 4 is you cannot be a threat to national security or public safety, and you can't have disqualifying criminal history. And requirement 5 is you must warrant a favorable exercise of discretion. All right, this is a discretionary request. Okay? And so, we've said from the beginning, we've known from the beginning that this program had some some problems that it could anticipate. The first of which is that it could face legal challenges in court, which it is already facing, right? That's what's happening. And a lawsuit was filed in the Eastern District of Texas on Friday, challenging the legality of this parole in place, saying that, hey, the law says that parole in place should be a case-by-case specific inquiry, not a program where now we're opening it up to the masses. All right? And so that's one of the challenges. There's several legal arguments that they're making in there. Of course, the Biden administration is saying, no, this is a case-by-case specific analysis. They are reviewing these cases one case at a time. They are not just approving them with a stamp of approval. In fact, some cases, they say they'll issue RFEs, NOIDs, or even do interviews on them. And so anyway, we're going to see how this gets played out in court, how this gets defended by the federal government in front of the court, the federal court in Eastern District of Texas. But while that litigation is pending, federal court cases take a long time, all right? And so while that is pending, unfortunately, the order now has come into place that we're going to stay these applications for 14 days initially, all right? And USCIS published an announcement on their Keeping Families Together page on uscis.gov. You can see that if you log into uscis.gov. Their notice this morning says this, all right? It says, alert, all right? On August 26th, 2024, United States District Court for the Eastern District of Texas in Texas versus Department of Homeland Security, all right, issued an administrative stay, staying DHS from granting parole in place under the Keeping Families Together program for 14 days. All right, 14 days. All right, and it says the district court might extend the period of this administrative stay. Then they go on to add, all right, while this administrative stay is in place, we will, 1, not grant, we will not approve any pending parole in place requests under the Keeping Families Together program, and 2, they will continue to accept filings of the parole in place program for spouses and stepchildren of U.S. citizens. All right? Lastly, this alert says that the district court's administrative stay order does not affect any applications that have already been approved. Okay? And so that's what the order says. So now, lawyer, should I continue to file my request, right? Or what should I do? I mean, here's the way it works. If you have already filed your case, then there's nothing to do right now. It's going to be stayed. It's going to be pending. There's nothing else we can do about it. Your case is in the government's database, and we're going to see what happens with this litigation. It will be paused before they can issue a decision. All right? If you have started to build this case, right? Maybe you've hired a lawyer, or maybe you're in the middle of gathering your evidence. All right? And now you're wondering, hey, should I still file this? Or should I hold off and not file it? That's where, okay, you'll want to talk that through. You'll want to talk that through. There are pros and cons, and ultimately there's no one right decision here. On the one hand, it'd be nice to get your case in line, because they are still accepting and receiving the applications. On the one hand, it'd be nice to get your case in line just in case this does open up for a brief window, right? So that you could be first to get adjudicated. On the other hand, if there are risks involved with your case at all, like if you don't have a strong plan B in place for your case at all, then there might be wisdom to say, hey, you know something, let's hold off. This is a pause. Now we've got 14 days to find all our evidence, get all our stuff together, right? And then we can see what happens at the end of the 14-day pause, and then we can make a decision as to whether or not we're going to go forward. Does that make sense? All right. And if you're in this, if you're in this ground where you're not even sure whether or not you should do this program, you're not even sure whether or not this is an even worthwhile strategy for you. If you're at the stage where you're just trying to get the first information about it, then I would say absolutely schedule a consultation, all right, whether with my office or any office that knows the law and is trustworthy and is someone you trust, all right, that can explain, understand your situation well, can explain what the litigation means, all right, can explain the risks involved and the benefits involved, all right, because remember, the benefits are enormous. They're enormous, all right? The benefits of this program are that if you get paroled in the United States, and if you're married to a U.S. citizen, then you can use that parole as one of your key legal requirements to enable you to file an adjustment of status, all right? I had a client and his wife meeting with me just yesterday about this program, and they're like, wait, I thought that if we filed this program, I get a green card. And I'm like, no. If you file this program, this is not an application for a green card. This is an application for parole. And they're like, well, what's parole? And I'm like, let's take it one step at a time. Let's take it one step at a time. What is parole? Do you know? All parole is, ladies and gentlemen, all parole is, it is a authorization to be in the U.S. That's all it is. It's not a work permit. It's not a green card. It's not even anything. It's not a Social Security card. It's just an approval from the government saying that you are authorized. You haven't been admitted legally yet. Admission is different than parole. All a parole is it's an authorization to be in the United States. All right? Well, then, lawyer, what's the big deal about that? What do I even care about that? Okay, the big deal is that to file an adjustment of status to get a green card, which is the goal, all right, which is the goal, that's golden. A green card means freedom, all right? Nobody cares about the card. People care about the freedom to live your life, the freedom to work where you want to work and go where you want to go and travel when you want to travel, all right? That's the freedom that comes with a green card. To be eligible for an adjustment of status green card, there are 3 requirements. First, you have to be inspected and admitted or paroled into the United States. Should I repeat that? To be eligible for a green card adjustment of status, which is freedom, personal freedom to live where you want to live and work where you want to work, you must have been inspected, admitted, or paroled into the United States. That's why parole is such a big benefit. The second requirement is you have to be married to, legally and in good faith, to your U.S. citizen spouse. We're just talking about marriage-based cases, all right? Or you have to have a different qualifying relationship if you're doing it through a different relationship. Sometimes, if it's like a brother or something, you have to have waited for your visa priority date to become current, which takes 20 years. And you have to be in lawful status. Anyway, right now we're just talking spouses. You have to be in a lawful and good faith marriage to a U.S. citizen. Requirement number 3 is you have to be, quote unquote, admissible, which has all kinds of problems. You know, it's like you got to do an analysis. You got to do an analysis. What I'm explaining is to even go through that process, you have to have been inspected and admitted or paroled. And that's like it's the main criteria, all right, that has been so difficult for people to qualify for ever since 245I, which, if you don't know what that is, it terminated in 2001, all right? And since that time, it's like there are thousands, there are hundreds of thousands, there are potentially more than 1 million people who are married to U.S. citizens who can't get a green card. Isn't that crazy? You're married to a U.S. citizen and you can't get a green card without completely risking, without leaving the United States first, right? Without potentially having to file waivers, potentially needing to be outside the U.S. for years and years. There's somebody on TikTok right now. Thank you. Luna on TikTok. My husband was deported in 2002. Does he qualify for parole in place? It's like people who are U.S. citizens have spouses who were deported. Isn't that ridiculous? It's just wrong. Right? It's wrong. And it's like, okay, well, how do we legally fix that? Well, what if we created a program where now we at least gave people parole? Yeah, we can't make people just automatically admissible. All right? But man, could we create a program that we at least gave people parole, something, so they don't have to leave and risk everything in front of the U.S. embassies and consulates overseas? Well, Congress hasn't done anything. So finally, trying to win some votes perhaps, finally, with some pressure from the Democrats, the Biden administration said, screw it, let's do something. So they create this program, and now there's a lawsuit filed challenging it because some people are just so anti-immigrant, it drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. All right? That's where we are. Luna, to answer your question, my husband was deported in 2002. Does he qualify for P.I.P? Here's the answer, all right? Here's the answer. If he was physically deported, like literally sent out of the U.S., then no, he will not, all right? If a person has an executed deportation order, meaning they were literally deported and physically removed from the U.S., then no, he will not be eligible for parole in place. All right, the regulations are fairly clear on that, okay? However, if he was ordered deported, but is still here in the U.S., which there are thousands of people. I have, maybe not thousands, but I have hundreds of clients in that situation where they have a deportation order but have not actually been deported, all right? It's good for these people to have lawyers, all right? We want to protect them. We want to fight for them. All right, we request all their records, have everything ready so that we can fight if we need to. For those people, they have not actually been deported. They can file for parole in place. Yes, they can, as long as they meet the eligibility criteria. However, there's risks. There's risks, folks. All right, if somebody's got a deportation order already signed against them, if Kamala wins, okay, with the priority guidelines and stuff probably are the same. right? But if Trump wins, that's an easy deportation, folks. So that's a deportation order already signed. They can just go knock on the door. So that's a parole in place with risk. You might consider doing something fancy first. Luna, you might consider doing something fancy first. You might, for example, look into doing a motion to reopen that deportation case first. All right? If we could reopen the case, then parole in place has a lot less risk. All right? And if it could be approved, then you could do an adjustment of status. Strategies. All right? It's important to talk through those. Chef's wife, I see you here. I've had DACA since 2012. I've just submitted for parole in place. I also have an I-601 at the same time. Chef's wife, I love you. Good for you. You're doing it right. All right? You've had DACA. You've submitted for PIP. You've got an I-601 or hope maybe an I-601A in the process. Good. All right? You're doing it the right way. Luna, he crossed the border illegally and was caught and deported. I get that. I have several clients in that same situation. Okay? Ulises, ¿de qué hablan? Estamos hablando del parole in place, keeping families together. There was a lawsuit filed. Welcome. We're here at the Empowered Immigrant Live. All right? JJ Fuentes, great to see you. Julie Zuli, all right? Great to see you. Violetta, I see you there. Good to see you. All right. Everybody here on TikTok, great to see each of you. Carlos, Lopez, Diana, Ulysses, great to see all of you. Diana, you say my husband has an I-130 approved and I-601A pending. Should we apply for PIP? I mean, the benefits are enormous, and my response to you, Diana, if I were you, I would. If I were you, I would. All right, because look, it's almost like, why not, right? If you had your PIP approved, parole in place approved, if you had that approved, now you don't have to leave the U.S., right? I know you've got your I-130 approved and your I-601As pending, but think about that. You wouldn't have to leave the U.S. You could apply for a green card here, all right? That's so much less risky. You have the right then to have a lawyer go with you to your green card interview. If it's denied, you have the right to appeal it, all right? If that's denied, you have the right to fight your case in court. Like your legal protections go up tremendously if you can file this as an adjustment of status. It is so much less risky, so much more approvable to do this type of case here in the U.S. than doing it in whatever country you're doing it in, all right? If this were my husband, if this were my wife, I would say file parole in place just in case it gets approved. And you know something? If it gets denied, no problem, Diana, because you can still continue with your parole in place. You can still continue with your I-601A process. All right? Carlos Lopez, it says that they are canceling the biometrics on the parole in place. Should I still apply? It's up to you. All right, Carlos Lopez, it's up to you, and they're canceling the biometrics. Don't worry about the biometrics. Don't worry about that. That's the simplest piece of the process. The question is, what would happen if they're denying your parole in place, and do you have a plan B in place? And that's where you might want to talk it through with a lawyer. Okay? So Luna, I see you here again. We married in 2004, submitted a petition, it was approved, but then the fact that he has the illegal entries, does he qualify? So again, he's got that deportation. So that's a problem. He won't qualify for parole in place, right? The thing to talk about for your husband is there maybe a U visa, or is there some other way to apply for him outside of a marriage-based green card, because marriage-based green cards really are not going to work for him. He's got a permanent bar. He's got a deportation order. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I am over time, and I need to get into the Spanish version of this video. All right? And so if you speak Spanish, and if you want to join me in Spanish in just a minute, just stay tuned, and I'd love to have you in our Spanish version of this video in just a few minutes. You know, my empowerment tip today is, it's really just, you know, all this politics stuff, all these lawsuits. I want you to live your life to the fullest, right? The Empowered Immigrant Live, like who I am, what I want you to be empowered to live your life to the fullest, irrespective of politics. Okay? And the way to do that is to think it through so you're prepared no matter who wins the election in November and no matter what happens with this lawsuit. Okay? So really prepare. There's a lot to be said in life for be ready for whatever happens so that you can live your life to the fullest no matter what happens. All right? Live your life to the fullest. How about this? Live your life to the fullest even if you don't have documents. All right? And part of living your life to the fullest is fighting for the documents so that with the documents comes the freedom that you want. All right? We always look to up-level the amount of freedom that we have, whether that's financial freedom, right? Whether that's freedom related to health. We always want more physical fitness so we can be free to do the activities we want to do. All right? Whether that's like educational related, we want to be able to study and learn as much as we possibly can. Whether it's travel related, we want to be able to go where we want to go. That's what immigration's all about. Whether it's employment related, we want to be able to work. It's like freedom, right? I want you to be able to live your life to the fullest in whatever situation you're in, with whatever political environment we face. I'd love to help you with that. All right? If this video was useful, if this was helpful, please like us or give us a heart or give us a thumbs up or whatever. If this is really useful for you, please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. All right? You know, when you do that, if you hit the notifications bell, you can receive a notification whenever we upload an additional video, you know, and we'd love to keep you informed. I see you there. Thank you. You know, thank you for being here. And the Arient, I see you there joining us. And Zuli, I see you. Oh, I said your name earlier. Good to see you. Anyway, you know, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do the same episode in Spanish in just a moment. My name's Otis Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. I hope you all have a great day. Stay in communication. If my office can help you in any way, please reach out. If you have an immigration case, please give us a call. We're here to help. We'd love to help. Okay? Until next time, folks, thank you all so much. We'll see you on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. That's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much. Take care. Bye-bye.